Okay.
Watch this. If that ever stops counting down, that means it's not recording. So,
So it's
recording. Yeah.
okay, it's playing, right?
Yes, it's recording.
Okay, it's recording. Thank you.
Zoe.
Hello, Dr. Horton. Believe it or not, this is my second time tonight to put this on a DVD format so that it can be sent to you. Dr. Horton, this is my name again, it's James Ryan. We've talked on the phone, I appreciated that. I think you get some small idea of who I am and what I do. I've been, just background, I've been in this type of work for about 50 years. Presently I'm in private practice. As you can see, I've gathered a lot of books, and I've been very, very blessed to be in private practice for a good 16, 17 years in the site I'm at. And I previously worked with the Department of Corrections as a senior probation parole officer, and also worked for a drug treatment program in the Michigan area called Insight. In fact, they even had Insight down in Florida. And then I was also blessed to work in terms of teaching the University of Michigan in Flint, substance abuse and counseling. And I did a lot of workshops with the state of Michigan in terms of, well, it would be like in the summer workshops and addictions. In fact, I'm going to be sending you, Doctor, some specific workshops that I've done in terms of on like weekend workshops. All that being said, in way of introduction, and so I would like very much to do this again. We've already tried one time before. At that time, for some reason, it didn't record. So the young lady that just went out the door was my daughter Kathleen, and so I'm going to take some time and we'll try and put this all together again. In that venue, Doctor, what I would like to do is take some time for me to share with you and whoever else might see this my appreciation, first of all, of the whole area of neurolinguistic programming. I certainly had seen it and read about it and a whole lot of things in the past. And in fact, when it started to come out early, it was there, but for whatever reason, I was caught up in finishing degrees and masters and all of that type of stuff. So it didn't have the meaning it has now to me personally. At this point in my life, as in private practice, and it has a lot of meaning. I've been blessed to have been trained in terms of clinical hypnosis with several good people, particularly in the Michigan area. Carolyn Deach, you might know or may or may not be familiar with her, doctor. She's a delightful lady, Dr. Deach, who went through clinical hypnosis training and then been blessed once again to be able to listen to and engage myself in the process of listening to neurolinguistic programming models, concepts, and structures. And thank God I'm able to be a certified practitioner, worked hard, certified master's level NLP, and also a coach. All of that just excites me beyond belief. It has tremendous amount of thrill, just thrill, internal thrill. I see a long future with this, and I can hear that inner voice in my being say, continue to enjoy, continue to grow, and move forward. And it tickles me, What I can say, we're Irish, and the Irish have their own unique way. Okay. What I'd specifically like to do is take some time and share some of the key things that I see in terms of neurolinguistic programming. One of the things I want to do too is make reference to your written material, obviously Bandler and Render's material, and I'm also going to use as kind of a format from Judith Pearson's book. Why do I keep doing this? Particularly, I want to kind of use as kind of a structure and a format is her chapter 3, kind of the overview of neurolinguistic programming in there. So that's kind of where I'm heading, and hopefully it'll make sense. So, welcome. My name again is James Ryan. I'm a 73-year-old therapist, been in the field of therapy and counseling for well over 50 years. I've been blessed to obtain bachelor's, 2 masters, and work on a doctorate. It's the old story, everything but the dissertation in there. This, in terms of introduction, in terms of neurolinguistic programming, what I would want to get across to whoever I have the pleasure, the opportunity, the experience, and the good fortune to be able to provide training to those individuals is that neurolinguistic programming is one of those things that came about in the 1970s. 2 people, one that a college professor, John Grinder, in the 70s, and one of his students, I'm sorry, in terms of Richard Bandler, John Grinder, Richard Bandler. At that time, Bandler was a student, and they worked together, and out of that combination of their working together, their focus was on excellence. And what is it that makes people better than average therapists? And they were particularly committed to the whole idea of let's see, because the questions in life are, who are the people that have skills that make a difference in people's lives, and particularly, help people to grow. And they worked together and came to the conclusion that there were people in there, 3 in particular, that they were drawn to, and they worked and took a look at. I'm not personally sure just how all that, in terms of where Richard Bandler, who was then a student, who now is obviously a doctor, how he became as prominent as is initially a student and now really a PhD with a great deal of excellence in there. Just noticed somebody sent my daughter a thing on Facebook. So they worked together, and they did talk to 3 people Bandler was drawn to the work of originally Fritz Perls, Gestalt therapy. Although when you read, Bandler's presentation and reflections on it, I personally don't get the sense that it's been all embracing that he experienced when he talked with um, the other two. Okay, the other two for him being in terms of gosh, I'm having mine. Oh, hang on for a second. Yeah. Milton Erickson being one of the other two, and then certainly in terms of family therapists. And right now, that's a terrible thing to say, but my mind just went blank. Obviously, stress not being the worst thing in the world, but certainly makes you reflect in there. So she will come back, but oh Lord have mercy. So I'm asking for mercy for you. Anyways, I'll have her come back very shortly in my mind. Anyways, they approached the three, and they took time, they listened, they saw, they felt, and what they did is that they saw, listened to people that were very, very, very capable. And they quested for people in search of excellence. And that makes a big difference in there. Okay, so I can see her just in front of me. But right now she just, gets away from me. So I'm just going to admit it and move forward, and I'll let her come back. No stress on my part in there. And by sitting down and talking, Virginia Satir, thank you. Moment of the Irish look in the good memories in Virginia Satir. These were people that they listened to, they sat down, they watched, and they began to realize that people had models. And the models that they used were representations of the world for them and how they saw people. And the key thing is they saw the goodness, they saw the strengths, they saw the qualities that in the form of models and representations, and they were able to write them down, observe them, write them down, experience, and apply. They were particularly drawn not only in terms of Virginia Satir. It's nice to have one of those moments where you slip and then you come back, but Milton Erickson, Dr. Milton Erickson, became also a very significant person that became a part of their life. And all that being said, I'm sorry, taking us all on this trip away from Virginia Satir, I would like to come back to Pearson's book in terms of, the title of the book again is Why Do I Keep Doing This? Wonderful question, by the way. And she breaks it down, not that others haven't, it's kind of consistent in terms of neurology, the mind, the way the mind works, the language, and also the programming. And one of the real important things is that they stress that the conscious and the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is a predominant factor in our mind, and more so than the conscious mind is present in there. She goes on to say, some of the characteristics about neurolinguistic programming, and I certainly appreciate her perspective. I certainly appreciate what Manler and Grinder and Dr. Horton, what you're saying in there. For her, I found this way, from her writing, I found very interesting. She said it's a process-oriented, and particularly in terms of being process-oriented, is that she says it, number one, talks about congruency. And then, I know I'm not supposed to be reading, but it's one of those ways that I'm going to move forward on that, and we'll see. What she says in there is congruency, which means the absence of, and this is a very important thing, internal conflicts. And I tried to get this to you before, for whatever reason we didn't get the thing recorded. And the first attempt, and I want to say it here, that really struck me, because I think that, so often people that I meet, or even myself and others, have internal conflicts. I had it with Virginia Satir, for God's sakes, and when I allow myself to change the model about being the absolute perfect presenter and just being myself, which that's what all I can do, Dr. Horton, or Bill, or whatever your preference, all of a sudden it wasn't about perfection, it was about Virginia Satir and the delightful lady she was. So it's about congruency, and then choice. One of the things about choices, and can't think of a better way of explaining how that applies from right now, because I chose to just be upfront and say, well, I can't think of Virginia Satir, and I've been reading all the stuff, but whatever. And as soon as I made the choice to stop trying to, whatever, have perfection and just be myself, this thing changed. And then the other thing is in terms of behavioral flexibility. By the way, choice, in her definition, is the ability to consider and to select an option that exists at any given situation. And then the other is behavioral flexibility, and I find that a very important quality in terms of neurolinguistic programming. Instead of being rigid, dogmatic, absolute, sometimes in life it's just allow ourselves to be students, allow ourselves to be in a process, allow ourselves to learn from our past, to get in the present and look to the future. That's exactly, and scratch your head occasionally too, I guess. So flexibility makes, I think, a very interesting thing. I would like to share with you, Dr. Horton, an observation that caught my attention. It is, this is Judith's writing. She says it is not based on a theory of why people do what they do. Instead, it's a process-oriented. By that I mean that neurolinguistic NLP program is about how people learn and how they change. And NLP begins as an idea of investigating, as I mentioned, modeling, if you will, the internal processes of people who are good at what they're doing, and then it evolved out. And what started as kind of a research project for 2 men became an incredibly significant, life-changing factor in the lives of many people, not just here in the United States, and certainly not here in my office and setting, but as you know, the whole world. In addition, he says there are 4 reasons why it's useful on behavior change, and that caught my attention. What makes people change? What are the benefits of change? Why would I want to stay put? So all that being said, let's go back. And the number one reason is NLP tells people tells us that people make representations of the experience. And in there, we have maps of the world, you know, and that becomes a very important part of life. How we see ourselves and others, how we have representations in there. Oh, the maps, if you will, a internal reference. In the material I'm sending to you, I make a reference in terms of some of the metaphors that I'm aware of, and for me, one of the metaphors among many is that a teacher and a healer and a father and a family member and a grandfather, a widower, and person who's adjusting and growing and starting life all over. So, second thing is that NLP offers simple, if you will, methods to change patterns of thinking. And I think that probably is the most interesting thing, is how we think about life. We have visions, we hear, we feel, and we experience. And one of the things in life is that, I'm learning like others. And thank God I'm working with people that I can apply when the patterns change. Number 3, perceptual position. I'm sorry, back up. Number 3, it helps teach people to have access to resourceful states. That's probably one of the best gifts that I found with NLP, is that I'm able to provide for other people, a broader and a deeper experience in life, self-included. And then number 4, it helps define well-formed outcomes. That's probably one of the gifts that I'm getting out of this, is that I'm writing more, journaling more, planning, and making a difference. And at this point, I'm going to call my daughter and pull this together and say, hopefully this makes sense, that what this and all the exam questions, hopefully are reflective of time, energy, commitment, passion, love, for life and others. So, thank you very much, Dr. Horton. Now we're going to try this again. Hopefully I do not lose you, as we lost once. I'd really like to have 0 on that, but not all. Okay, Kat. I'll let you turn it off. So we're in this process right now, and this, Dr. Horton, is my daughter, Kathy.
Hola. All right. So now you're done?
Yep.
You got it. Come on, jeez. It won't stop.
Okay, well, we're on.
Well, we're on. That's a good thing.
That's good.
Why won't this stop? Jesus.
Okay, hold on, Dr. Horton. You'll get to know more about us than we ever expected. Okay.
Actually, we'll just crop this out or edit it out.